Here is a spoiler warning for what will and won't be mentioned in this video. Basically, I tried to avoid bringing up anything about the greater story details and plot threads, or anything that would impact your playthrough of the game. And now, for our feature presentation. I want to talk about Scarlet Nexus because it's really cool, and not enough people talk about this game. What is Scarlet Nexus? Scarlet Nexus is an action role-playing game that was released back in late June of 2021. It was developed by Bandai Namco, the creators of an iconic yellow video game character, Doshin the Giant. Bandai Namco has also made some excellent games such as the Little Nightmares series, Dragon Ball FighterZ, Code Vein 1 and 2, Disney Tsum Tsum Festival. Don't tell me you forgot about Disney Tsum Tsum Festival. But yeah, and they made that one game that got Game of the Year. Since it released during the same month when a lot of other big games were releasing, it kinda got lost under the radar, which is bad. But it sold over 1 million copies, which is good. So I was never good at public speaking without including about 1 million pauses and ums and uhs. I'm just gonna talk about what the game is, what I like about it, and why you should probably buy it. What is the story? In the distant future of an alternate reality, a psionic hormone was discovered in the human brain, granting people extra sensory powers and changing the world as we know it. That's right, we're playing an anime version of the X-Men. That was a joke. But when mysterious creatures called Others emerge from the extinction belt with a hunger for human brains, the Other Suppression Force rises up and recruits those psionics to fight back and save humanity. You either play as Yuito Sumeragi or Kasane Randall, a new recruit on the Other Suppression Force. Depending on which character you play, you actually get 50% of the story. This can sometimes work, sometimes not in my opinion. But because I've only played one of the routes, I'm gonna assume it works here. As you progress through the story, you're introduced to your platoon, which is your team of other OSF members. For Yuito's platoon, you have Serial Softy Arsonist, Girl Daredevil with a Gun, The Human Thing, and some random kid who somehow served for 22 years. Wait, what the fuck? And on Kasane's platoon, you have Angry Nerd, who's actually a cool guy if you get to know him, Tumblr Sexy Man, who's kinda confusing, pink-haired Futaba Sakura with supersonic speed, and Best Girl. But your platoons don't just help you in the story, they also help you in combat, which leads us into what is the gameplay? What's an action game without a little bit of action? When you boot up the game, after you pick your character of choice, you find yourself in the tutorial, which teaches you the ins and outs of combat. Hold X and square to do a rising attack and some air combos, and you have a dodge button too, which is pretty cool. But this isn't your standard hack and slash game with air combos. You get to embrace your full Morgan Freeman and use 100% of your brain power. Yuito and Kasane have the ability of psychokinesis, which lets them lift up objects and chuck them at enemies. Throw a barrel, or this thing, or even a car if you're bored. There are also unique objects to interact with on each stage. If you use the alternate trigger on specific items, it will require you to do additional inputs to use unique attacks and do bonus damage. Do enough damage and you'll break an enemy's crush gauge, allowing you to insta-kill enemies. Every enemy has a unique insta-kill animation after the first time.
Struggling won't work!
But then afterwards, you kinda get a quicker version, just so you're not stuck in the same long, drawn-out animation. But wait, there's more. If you link up your brain power with your allies, you can also link up your struggle arm system, or your SAS, with members of your platoon to add new abilities to your moveset. For Yuito's platoon, link up with Hanabi to gain pyrokinesis. It adds the fire type to both your weapons and any object you throw. Hit an enemy enough times and you'll burn them. If you hit an enemy who's all oiled up, it'll make the burn effect even stronger. But be careful, if you're oiled up, the same can happen to you. Link up with Tsugumi to gain clairvoyance. You basically get Daredevil's sonic pursuit, and you get to see invisible enemies and through fog. Also, you can get your perfect dodges much easier. Link up with Gemma to gain sclerokinesis. You basically get super armor and can't take damage, but Damage is directed to the timer that the ability lasts for instead. Link up with Luca to gain teleportation. Teleport to any nearby enemies and hit them a lot quicker. I don't know, I don't really use this ability all that much, but it's probably good. For Kasane's platoon, link up with Shiden to gain electrokinesis. It starts playing the electro theme from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and adds the electric type to your weapon and objects. If you keep attacking an enemy who's all soaking wet, it'll lead to a stun where you can keep attacking. But again, if you're soaked and get hit with electric moves, the same thing will happen to you. Link up with Kagero to gain invisibility. You suddenly vanish into thin air and enemies can't see you. You can also charge up a backshot ability and do major damage from behind. Link up with Arashi and gain hypervelocity. You gain a whole bunch of super speed and slow down time. Useful for closing the distance against those camping loser enemies who just run away. Also very useful for setting up backstabs. Link up with Kyoka and gain duplication. It duplicates the next object that you throw. But with upgrades, you can make duplicates of yourself and more objects that you throw too. But the best part about this, you can use multiple of these abilities at once. Up to 3 is what I recall using quite a bit towards the end game, but maybe you could use more? I don't know. Gotta play to find out. I will briefly spoil that eventually closer to the end of the game, both platoons combine into one big happy family, so you can mix and match any abilities you want. I should also mention the brain drive. It's more of a passive thing that you unlock. Kind of a boost to all your stats. I don't actually know what it does, I'll be honest with you, but it seems like it's useful, because it pops up every now and then. There is also another aspect of the game I should talk about, and that's the brain field. When you fill up your meter, you can drill these cables into the back of your head and enter psycho mode. Wait, what the fuck?
I'll track you down and kill you.
You have 25 seconds to go all out and do maximum damage to all enemies in the area, but there are a couple drawbacks to this. For one, if you don't close the brain field within a certain amount of time, you die. No ifs, ands, or buts, you just die. Like, instant death. It don't matter if you're full health, low health, mid health, no health, you die! In addition, you can only really extend the brain field mode if you have enough bond level with your teammates, who will extend the time for you. I also learned this while writing this script, but you can actually become fully immune to direct damage if you unlock 2 specific skills. So I guess that kinda adds to it. Me personally, I only use this for damage against bosses. Not a bad thing to use. I'm not saying to outright never use a brain field, but it does have its risks. What is the music? Man, this game has a banger of a soundtrack with over 114 songs. You have your chill songs while you're in the city, your ambient songs while you're in certain parts of the world, and your battle music, which does a really nice thing. It transitions from ambient to combat mode when you encounter enemies. Here are a few personal favorites of mine from the soundtrack. What are the strengths of this game? I made a Reddit post about this game like a month or two ago about what other people liked about the game. I probably won't put all the screenshots here, but just know I did read through all the comments. Here's what people seem to like the most, and what I pretty much agree with as well. The characters feel genuinely alive and real. Like, interactions they have in the Bond episodes makes you really connect with these characters and feel their struggles and want to see them grow and improve. I mentioned Sheedan becoming a cool guy the more you get to know him, and I did mean it. He really does end up becoming dependable and trustworthy as the game progresses. It takes time, but that's what's so interesting about him. He probably has the biggest, one of the bigger turnarounds in the story. I won't spoil anything, but characters like Kyoka, Kagero, Gemma, Tsugumi, even Yuito and Kasane all have really good development that I enjoyed. The art design and environment. Man, the environments in this game look really good. It was a little hard to believe that it was all the same world, but it still felt like grandiose and interconnected. It felt like every place served a purpose. It was made for a specific purpose, and no location really drops the ball in this aspect. I'll also mention the designs of the others themselves, as they're gorgeously grotesque. Look at this enemy. What is this? It's so ugly. And I love it. The combat feels incredible. Please refer back to the combat/gameplay section for this bit. I'll throw up a few more of people's thoughts from the Reddit post here as well, which want to extend major thanks to everyone who commented on the post. What are the weaknesses of this game? Nothing? Okay, that's not entirely true. I mentioned before how playing as one character only gets you 50% of the full story can sometimes work, and it does work in Scarlet Nexus at certain times. There are a few issues with the story I'm a bit iffy on. Sometimes a character will say something that makes no sense, or a thing is revealed without much merit or logic behind it, but I think the one thing that kind of confuses me about this game, time travel.
Time travel!
Yes, there is a time travel aspect to this game's story as well, but honestly, as you play through the game, it's kind of not as impactful as you'd think. Still, when you put the game down for a month and then come back to it, forgetting story beats is a little too common. Something else that kind of bothered me personally is the cutscenes. For most of the game, your cutscenes are kind of just PNGs of the characters talking. It felt more like a visual novel, but every now and then you get fully animated cutscenes and they look great. And it's just why wasn't this all of the cutscenes? Or they could have done a Fire Emblem 3 Houses and have the models and environments kind of animated but not animated? I don't know. I think that's more of a nitpick for me though. There's probably more that I'm forgetting, so if I remember what it was, I'll put it right here, I guess. Overall, do I recommend Scarlet Nexus? Absolutely, absolutely. It's genuinely one of my favorite games that I've played. And I have a hot take. You might not be ready for it. I think this game is better than the entire Nier franchise. I have my own personal gripes about that franchise after I played both games in college. To me, Replicant is a 4 out of 10, and Automata's a 2 out of 10. I would love to do a video on why I don't like those games, but that would require me having to think about those games again, so 20 likes and I'll do it. We're getting off topic. Genuinely, do give this game a try. If you can't buy this game, bring this video to your local bank and let this explain why they need to give you $20. It's one of my favorite games from a company who has games that I also really like, and it's one that I think, funnily enough, doesn't need a sequel. I enjoyed the way the game ended. No spoilers, of course, but it felt like a sense of closure with the game's ending, and I was pretty satisfied with it. Sure, I'd love for attention to come back to this game, but it's been almost 5 years at this point. Sequel probably isn't likely, but that doesn't mean we can't appreciate the game for what it is and the impact that it left on not just me, but all those 2 million players who played the game. All in all, please do try Scarlet Nexus. It is a severely underrated game that I do want more people to learn and talk about in the future. And if you do try it out, let me know what you think of it. Whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it, or you're somewhere in between. I am curious. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.